Hello, friends, and welcome to From Stories to Happiness. So far, I've not received any requests of stories that need happy endings. So, if anybody out there hears this, in the comments, if you leave a short story about your story, I won't put your YouTube name on it or say any specific names, but I'll be able to go over your story, review it, and then provide solutions towards the end outcome of happiness. And so I haven't received any stories or requests yet. I'm just going to tell one of my own stories. We'll call it the story of the mural on the wall. So let's get started. So this is my personal experience story, and these are the kind of stories I'm looking for. Things that happened to you that you weren't able to create a good outcome on. And if you could create a good outcome too, that'd be great. And so, here we go. So, my boys kind of thought that the house was a bit of a art museum, as it were, if you want to call it that. They pretty much basically decided writing on the walls was a thing in my family's home. So they proceeded to do quite a bit of artwork all over the walls, and we cleaned it here and there and dealt with it the best we could. And, we talked to them, and the little one actually kept doing it. The older one stopped. And so one day my wife was like, look, we got to paint the house. And my response to that was, please, for the love of God, let us wait until the little one stops writing on walls, because there's no uncertainty will the little one make new artwork. It was a 100% guaranteed thing. So anyways, so we spent, I don't know, $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 painting the entire house. I mean, that's no joke of amount of money to spend. I don't think we got our money's worth. The painters were not the best people ever. I even caught one of the painters putting out his cigarette on the paint of my house on the outside. I'm just like, wow, for real? Who did we hire? Anyways, that's not the important part of the story. The important part of the story is coming up. So the house gets painted. It looks okay. They leave a bunch of their tape all over the siding or all over the trim and stuff like that. It's like, well, whatever. At least we got it over with. And so we have a staircase that goes up half a level and then half another level the other direction to the upper floor. And so there's this big wall as you hit the corner on the halfway mark. There's this giant wall going all the way up to the living room. And then there's like a edge there just to the living room wall. It's not a wall. It's not walled in. It's opened up. But anyways, let's get to the point. So I don't know when exactly it all happened, but my wife, I think she called me and I came home, and what a dramatic scene. But I got there and the little one had decided to create a vast and just a giant mural right inside that giant wall there. So you hit the corner and there's the wall to the living room, and it's big. And he had literally filled this whole wall with his artwork. I'll just call it artwork. So my lovely wife, she got really, really, really mad. It got a little out of control there, actually. And I was just like, and I had been practicing my self-mastery and things. And so here we are moving towards the solution of what I'm going to talk about. So it was very high levels and very intense yelling, and I sat there with her, and I said this. I said, "What do you see on that wall?" And she was really way into her anger fit and yelling, and I didn't want her yelling at the kids, because when you yell at your kids, they don't hear anything. They don't care what you're talking about. All they know is you're yelling. So you're not going to get anywhere with that kind of a thing. Just a second. I'm going to open the windows. So So I said, what do you really see there? And I kept asking her over and over. I see the destroyed wall and the horribleness of our children did and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. What do you actually see on the wall? Finally, after like 15 minutes of, and I never broke. I never started yelling with her. I just said, what do you see on the wall? Now this is going to lead up to a self-mastery technique. That's where it's headed. But finally, she calmed down enough to I just said, she's like, I'm like, no, don't keep adding things to it. What do you see on the wall? And finally she goes, I see a bunch of different colors scribbled on the wall. And I said, exactly. Do you see hatred towards your child? Do you see anger? Do you see yelling? Abusive yelling at that? Do you see any of those things? Are those things on that wall? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so what really is there? What really is the only thing that actually exists right now besides what you're adding to it? Well, the writing on the wall. And I said, exactly. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying all that other stuff you added to this is your addition, and it's really bad. You cannot. So the premise and the thing to the story is this: we do not need to add something to something else. You don't need to add your hatred, your anger, your disgruntledness, your not letting go of things, your lack of forgiveness. You don't need to add any of those bad things to anything. So don't add things to what's right there. You just got to be like, there it is. And if everybody took that sort of thought process to things, you would have thoughtful outcomes, which is good. You'd be like, oh, okay, let's just be calm and deal with this. B, you'd have more peaceful people whenever something came up that wasn't what they wanted. And C, everything would just be a lot better. You'd just be a lot more peaceful. It's not about adding all these horrible things to what is just whatever's there. It's more about, it's hard to accept something that's so bad, it seems bad. You don't need to add badness to it. You don't need to add yelling to things. You don't need to add anger to things. You don't need to add anything to things. You can just let it be right there. And if you have to get mad, my recommendation is just go somewhere and be alone. Because you don't need to bring this stuff to your family. You don't need to bring this anger to anyone. You're not going to get any good outcomes from that, ever. So don't add to what is already there bad things that are going to make it harder on you and the people around you, is the moral of the story. So whatever, and this applies to everything in your life, so apply it to everything in your life and see how much more peaceful your days are, and how much happier the people are around you, and how much easier it is to fix those things that you almost added a bunch of bad stuff to. It allows you to keep all your energy to yourself, then you might put it into something constructive to take care of the problem. And the problem will go away a lot quicker because you won't be all emotional about it. So yeah, that's it. So that was the story of the mural on the freshly painted wall. And that was the solution to the story. And that's what this channel is all about. So maybe you have a story that you had a solution to, or you have a story that you had no solution to. And as a self-mastery coach, I would be able to help you with that. So if you want to leave your short story in the text, or even a long one, as long as it fits in there, and either I can provide a solution to it, or you can tell me your story, and we'll have it on my channel for others to hear how you dealt with it and how you had a good outcome. Because this channel is called From Stories to Happiness. So that's what's going on. All right. It was good to talk with you guys, and I look forward to getting your input, and we'll see you on the next one.